We have different narratives, but I very seriously doubt that we'll have a significantly different cycle, right? You can prove it to me if I see it, but we've had a pretty solid history of the way that markets operate. I think the very nature of a super cycle is utter nonsense. We saw it a few years ago. We talked about how it was going to go straight to 250 or 500,000. Nothing could stop it. Charts didn't matter. Liquidity didn't matter. Global markets didn't matter because Bitcoin had reducing supply and demand was up and it was going to go straight to $1 million, right? We've heard it every single cycle and it never happens because humans are going to human and someone's going to take advantage of those that believe in those cycles to sell into them and make profit.
It's no news that the 2024-2025 cryptocurrency bull market is already in full bloom. Though prices are still far from previous all-time highs, the entire industry is alive and buzzing with excitement. As expected, the bullish sentiments and huge price predictions are rolling in, and the headlines are quickly getting out of hand. A few days ago, Bloomberg published an article predicting that this is the beginning of a fresh crypto supercycle that will push the world's largest crypto asset above $500,000 per coin. Per the article, the cryptocurrency is in the midst of a revival few saw coming this year. It has added more than 150% so far in 2023 as many market watchers anticipate an exchange-traded fund that directly holds the token could soon be approved to trade in the US. Meanwhile, the prophecies for how high the coin could go span anywhere from $50,000 in the immediate term to above $530,000. Popular YouTube personality Scott Melker is not certain about the supercycle description or Bitcoin hitting $500,000 per coin in this next cycle. However, he agrees that we are at the beginning stages of a massive crypto bull market that could very well push Bitcoin's prices into six figures. Scott, popularly known as the Wolf of All Streets, recently appeared for an interview on the Barron network, during which he discussed his outlook on Bitcoin and other top crypto assets for this bull cycle. Scott also reacted to predictions that this would be the much-awaited crypto supercycle. While he disagrees with that notion and does not see Bitcoin hitting $500,000 for at least another cycle or two, Scott is just as bullish as the rest of us on Bitcoin, Ether, and other top altcoins. As we bring you clips from the interview, please take a little time to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
I would have put it at that rise right there between disbelief and hope. If I had to, if you take a look at that chart, especially if we believe in the 4-year cycle for crypto, we're very, very early for that parabolic run that comes from hope and into optimism. So obviously that chart is just a guide. It doesn't mean that every market will follow it. But I think conceptually that it does make a lot of sense. Right now, I think once we got to 38,000, started pushing to 42, of course, pushing 44 at the moment, which is a bit surprising, I think. I think now we're starting to see the headlines again. We're starting to get a few phone calls from the friends from high school asking if it's time to look at Bitcoin again. It was really dead silent up until that point, even for me. And I think I talk about Bitcoin more often than most. So I really just think that this is kind of the beginning of the cycle. That doesn't mean there won't be huge retracements. We won't see those 30, 40% painful dips that make people believe that we're going back down to new lows. But right now, when you bottomed at sub 16,000 and you're pushing 44, it's just absurd to call it a bear market bounce. I believe we get another massive cycle, certainly well into six figures. I don't even think that the idea of 500,000 is hyperbolic by any stretch. Maybe that takes a cycle or two. I don't know if we'll get there this cycle. But the idea that of the super cycle is that we will defy all logic, defy all history. This time is different. New paradigm. You look at that Wall Street cheat sheet. That's the very definition of that euphoria phase that you see at the top. And hearing people talk like that already gives me more pause than excitement, to be quite frank. I speak with Eric Balchunas and James Seyfert, whose tweet you just showed, quite often on my channels. I count them almost as friends at this point because I harass them so much about their targets and percentages. And we all know that they're pricing in a 90% chance of an approval by January 10th and probably a sweeping approval of multiple Bitcoin spot ETFs, which when you think about how exciting that is, that means because they are likely to approve all of them at once, that we're going to get this massive marketing war that effectively just becomes an advertising campaign for Bitcoin. Because 10 of them can't secure meaningful AUM and win in this market, it'll probably be one and then scraps for everybody else. Obviously, if I had to bet, I would bet on that being BlackRock. I believe they probably have the AUM already lined up. They're not going to launch with a whimper. If they are going to get approved, and they likely know that they are based on all the dialogue you just discussed, I have a feeling that they're lining up that marketing and behind the scenes are already getting that AUM committed to their ETF. But either way, yes, I think the odds are very strong because of the dialogue that you talked about as well. I mean, the SEC in the past just kicked the can down the road, delay, reject, right? They had the 240-day period. It ended in a rejection. There was no commentary, no resources spent. Now they're spending their time, money, and their, the few people they have working there that could be focused on other things, actually focusing on this, interacting directly. You probably recently last week saw that BlackRock had a meeting at the SEC, 10 members of BlackRock, this very long deck, very involved on how the operating procedures, very much deep in the weeds of how these ETFs could look. They're not doing that just for fun, right? So I think that all indications point to these approvals. And frankly, I think that this is a really good face-saving measure for Gary Gensler. They've obviously taken a beating against the crypto industry of late. When it seemed like this was going to be a very dismal time for crypto, we continue to seemingly win. But I think they can approve a Bitcoin spot ETF and still take that aggressive tactic towards everything else in the industry, right? Say, listen, we delayed this until it was the big names like the Fidelities and the BlackRocks, the people that we trust, your trusted names. We protected you by not allowing smaller players to have control of this industry. We brought in the trusted Wall Street participants. Here you go. Throw us a bone. And then I doubt we get much more after that.
According to recent reports, BlackRock and Bitwise filed an amendment to their spot Bitcoin exchange-traded fund applications with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission on Monday. According to Bloomberg analyst James Seifert, this is another positive sign that the SEC's approval is coming through in early January. They are just pouring in. James noted in a post on X, "We have another spot Bitcoin ETF S1 amendment tonight. This one is from BlackRock." SEC is obviously giving multiple issuers the same or very similar instructions. In another post, he wrote, "Second S1 amendment from Bitwise Invest for their spot Bitcoin ETF conversations still happening with SEC and potential issuers." The Bloomberg analyst also explained on Friday that the window for a spot Bitcoin ETF approval is officially January 5 to January 10. Really, this means that any potential approval orders are going to come on either Monday, January 8, Tuesday, January 9, or Wednesday, January 10. Mark your calendars, people, he wrote on X. Bloomberg is predicting a 90% chance of a spot Bitcoin ETF approval by January 10. Let's get back to Scott's discussion with Paul Barron. This time, he discusses his views on the possibility of the SEC approving a spot Ether exchange-traded fund and opportunities that will be presented by investing in promising blue-chip cryptos like Solana. Here are more clips from the interview.
Well, first of all, on the Bitcoin spot ETF, I think it's important to understand the nuance. We could see those 19B4s approved by January 10th, but those S1s are a separate approval that's required. So they could not necessarily launch right on January 10th, which would align very well with what Hashdex is saying here about second quarter. I think we all know it's going to take a bit of time. It's going to depend on how much hype there is in the media around what kind of AUM we see flowing in. As for an Ethereum spot ETF, I do think it's inevitable and next, but I'm not sure that it's inevitable and next quickly, certainly with Gary Gensler at the helm. We've never even been able to get him to qualify whether Ethereum is a security or not, even when he's testifying in front of Congress. So I think that we're going to probably see a long delay period after the Bitcoin spot ETF where they approve this, like I said, throw us the bone, and then sit back and wait and see what happens. So I do think it's inevitable, but I don't think that it's going to happen quickly. I could be completely wrong, but I think it could even take regime change at the very top, new administration in power, Congress and Senate going to one side for us to really see that kind of movement. We might even need to see Gary Gensler replaced or out at the SEC before we start getting much movement, I think, beyond Bitcoin. And listen, from the very beginning, Gary Gensler taught blockchain at MIT. We all know the stories that he was supposed to be a Bitcoiner, but clearly has a view on Bitcoin being one thing and everything else being another. And I think that, gun to his head, if the cameras weren't on, he would say, Ethereum's a security and I don't want to approve this thing. So I just think it's a bigger stretch.
Some of the blue chips, we'll call them, altcoins out there, whether it's a Solana, an Avalanche, a Cardano, whatever it might be. But the fact that we have those coming on, how much of a role do you think they'll play in this next bull run?
I think they'll be significant. I think that the early indications here, obviously, that Solana could be a leader into the next bull market, not only because the price has gone up, but because the excitement around development, the excitement around Fire Dancer, which will make transactions faster and cheaper and more secure in theory. It truly is the first time that I think a lot of people are looking at a blockchain and saying, maybe this thing can literally do all of it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it necessarily can. I have my questions, certainly, but narrative drives price and narrative drives bull markets. And I think that Solana is going to be a major narrative throughout, right? Everything that's being built on it, all of the side projects, NFTs, gaming, all of these things, we're going to see those narratives on Solana. But I would not count Ethereum out or dead. In fact, I think the fact that Ethereum has been lagging so much right now is an opportunity and not a condemnation, right? I don't think that it's an indictment of anything happening in Ethereum. I think it's just lagging and a chance to really get in somewhat early, to be quite frank. I'm pretty bullish on the idea of Ethereum here, especially, like you said, with the Ethereum spot ETF being on the docket. So it could take a little time, but I think that each cycle we're going to see new layer ones, the new shiny thing, take some market share from the bigger players. If you take a look from 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, what the top 10 projects were, besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, it tends to look very different who holds those 3 through 10 spots, right? It's just an inevitable part of these cycles. A lot of things make it into the top 10 by market cap only based on hype and not based on anything fundamental, just because they sort of catch that virality and get pumped to the moon, as we say in the space. But I don't think that that necessarily means that they're going to be the most valuable or the winners in the next cycle. So I think we're going to see quite a few layer ones sort of break through. But Solana does seem to have a very strong and early lead. And I actually hadn't even noticed that it was on the ticker on mainstream media. I do think that's exceptionally meaningful.
Scott is one of many who are bullish on Solana. Real Vision founder and Big Ether bull Raoul Pal has recently predicted that the altcoin will massively dominate the crypto scene in 2024. Pal is predicting 20 to 50x increases in Solana's price before the bull market ends. According to Pal, the use of Solana comes with a whole different feel that makes it a top contender as a relatively more user-friendly option compared to the largest altcoin. In a recent post on X, Pal compares Solana to Apple and the largest altcoin network to Android. The post reads, "Once you play around in the Solana ecosystem, it feels super fast, slick, inviting, and easy for the user. The best comparison is Solana is Apple and Ether is Android. Both win. Huge." What are your thoughts on Scott and Pal's views and predictions on the two largest crypto assets in Solana? Do you think this is going to be a super cycle or another great cycle that will advance the growth and development of the cryptocurrency industry? Please drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and hit the like button for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Hey Savvy Finance enthusiasts, massive shout out for being the heartbeat of Savvy Finance. Your support has been the wind beneath our wings, and we can't express our gratitude enough. Now buckle up because we've got an exclusive deal just for you. Ever wanted a slice of the action? We're offering a golden opportunity to own part of our YouTube channel's potential future revenue. This isn't just an investment, it's an invitation to be a part of our story. Investing means you're not just an investor, you will be a participant in the future of Savvy Finance. No cheesy lines, just a genuine call to embark on this journey together. But wait, there's more. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, become a Savvy ambassador. Share our videos on every platform, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Your shares amplify our visibility, potentially translating to more views and more YouTube revenue. Here's the kicker. If our viewership increases, we would not be just growing financially. We would be making a tangible impact by spreading valuable financial education. Now the icing on the cake. Invest and you'll score exclusive access to our private Savvy Finance Discord. Here you can chat with Savvy Finance, swap ideas with fellow investors, and be at the forefront of exciting developments. Click on the link below to register your Gigastar account. You can also find the link to my offering page in the description below. Get your Gigastar account ready, review the offering details, and let's embark on this thrilling venture together. To the incredible Savvy community, thank you for being the backbone of our success. Your journey is my journey, and together, we're creating waves. Cheers.